Hi girlies! I love Descendants because the thing with Descendants is that it's so cringe, but it knows exactly what it is and it's committed to it, and I have to respect anything that knows what it is and commits. Like, it knows it's cringe. It knows it is awful. I respect the entire franchise. And what do we think of my Ede glam?
So I tried to do a couple of cute little poses that the girlies do on the fashion videos, and then I remembered that I don't know how to do this without making myself just look like a rectangle. But the outfit just consists of a cute little black skirt that is a lot shorter at the back than I realized, and this jacket, which I actually hand painted myself. And if you're looking at it and thinking, hey, Evie's symbol doesn't have that V in it, and if you can tell where the V is from, I'm sorry for your trauma. And I just went with red and blue eye makeup, which obviously suits the character.
Oh, and by the way, I liked Descendants 4. It's not actually worse. It's not actually worse than the other three. Y'all are just, I don't know, blinded by nostalgia and mean. I actually also really love the costume design in Descendants. Again, it's cringy, it's garish, it's over the top, but it knows exactly what it's trying to be, and it's committed to it. And you have to respect that. However, that kind of only really applies to the VKs and like Chloe, I guess. With some of the Ordon kids, they like kind of tried. But with some of them, they're honestly just like wearing vague pastels and calling it a day. So I'm taking it upon myself today to restyle 3 of the AKs, starting with who I think is probably the worst offender. The character assassination of Mulan via Lonnie is criminal, just in general. I have a lot of favoritism towards Mulan anyway, she's one of my favorites, but like what they did to her, yikes. But the thing that I'm focusing on today is the fashion, and my main question there is, why was Lonnie in pink and blue? For one thing, with Mal, they were so deathly terrified to put anyone else in purple. But like most of the main AK characters that we see are just in pink and blue. It particularly bothers me for Lonnie because that's Mulan at her worst point in her story. The pink and blue outfit is the one that she wears when she sings Reflection. As in, my reflection does not show who I am on the inside. So it feels really weird to have that be the hyper focus in Lonnie's outfit. Like, frankly, it's kind of disrespectful to Mulan's story.
So I went with green. Our first outfit recognizes that Lonnie is more feminine than Mulan. I went for the classic 2010s peplum dress to reference the time period of D1. I complemented it with pink, so it's still Lonnie, and a reference to Magnolia.
I wanted to give each character kind of like an emblem. The VKs more visually have those, but the AKs kind of do as well. So for Lonnie, I kind of wanted to reference the bit in Mulan about the flower that blooms in adversity, and I gave her Magnolia. I think that's meant to be Magnolia. Sorry.
Otherwise, we're going full 2015 with a messy bun, the peplum, and the platform sneakers.
It's a reference to the actual Mulan story, but having the floral pattern still evokes the fact that like Mulan and Lonnie are separate individuals and separate characters, and that Lonnie is a little bit more feminine than Mulan is typically shown, and that's fine. Because like Descendants in general has this problem where like you're not really your mother's daughter, you're more like your mother's clone. Moving on to look 2, it kind of really annoys me that Lonnie didn't get like an aisle makeover. Like, how did Ben get one and not Lonnie? I get that it's for like plot reasons or whatever, but she deserves it.
For this look, I incorporated more grey and silver as a reference to the soldiers' uniforms in Mulan. The tied-around flannel is A,
2014 Tumblr core, as all of the VKs are,
and B, a reference to the collar aspect of each of the soldiers that they have as part of like their assigned colour. I changed the Magnolia from a necklace to a traditional Chinese hairpin.
I was thinking about how Zetian uses hers as a weapon in Iron Widow.
And I added a little bit of pink into her hair as well. For a formal outfit, I actually think that Lonnie would incorporate more of like a traditional Chinese style, like she does often reference across the series. But I'm not familiar enough with traditional Chinese clothing to draw that respectfully, so I just went with a jumpsuit because that seemed like something that was fitting as part of Lonnie's wardrobe.
In all of them, I made Lonnie's green a lot brighter and more vibrant than anything from Mulan's soldier uniform, or even the outfit she wears towards the end. Because again, I'm trying to mark her out as her own person, and I felt like it kind of read into that femininity a little bit more. And like, don't get me started on the naming conventions. Mal/Maleficent is definitely the worst contender, but like, we have a bone to pick with all of them. Moving on to Doug, did the actor like upset the stylist somehow or something? Because they really did harm to this boy for like 3 movies straight.
For a D1 look, I just wanted to tone things down just a little bit to pretend like he wasn't styled from like a Blaine Anderson reject pile. I also wanted him to look like he understood, at least in theory, what the inside of a mine would look like. I feel like actually the boots are leaning a bit lumberjack, but
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what like
big burly men who do big burly men jobs dress like.
Like, Doug's not a big burly man, so it's fine. It's whatever.
This is also where I'm giving him an emblem too, in the form of a purple diamond.
I definitely don't think that Doug needs to have an aisle makeover. But I wanted to like give him a little bit of something, because I think like with his relationship with Evie, especially because he like seems to be working for her from the second one onwards, like there's no way that she's just letting him go out like that. So I give him an aisle makeover just to show the like complete opposite extreme of his outfit that I gave him in D1.
I give him a purple beanie like his dad's hat, and purple belt and purple on his trousers. The V-neck is also supposed to mimic Dopey's animated shirt, but other than that, I just went with like typical or like stereotypical almost aisle aesthetics.
I mentioned before that they were so afraid to give any other character purple. And the thing is, the color palettes of the Evil Queen and of Ursula both have purple in them. So like, it's a real crime for Evie, Uliana, and Uma. But it's also a crime for Doug. Listen, if anyone wants to come for the long hair in D3, they're gonna have to go through me. I'm dead serious. I'm a long hair Doug defender. I think it's cute. The problem is not the long hair, it's not the ponytail, it's the fact that his girlfriend is supposed to be Evie now, and like I said, she's a fashion icon, so like, why is she gonna let him out looking like that? I don't even hate the outfit, I just think it's boring.
I kept the silhouette the same, but my goal was essentially just like Doug if he slayed. I brightened the green, give it a little bit more of a V, and I added the purple diamond as a badge, a bracelet, and a saucy little earring.
Evie's boyfriend deserves to serve. So the third character is a little bit different. This was a backgrounder who was in desperate need for some TLC. There's this girl she's seen a couple of times throughout the trilogy. She is in the background, she's in a wheelchair, and every time she's seen, I swear to God, she gets pushed by some character, like usually a VK or whatever. And I'm just thinking, why is this girl being kidnapped at every turn? Like I said, she's a background character, so we don't really have anything to go on. But she's seen in blue at least once, and she is blonde, so I'm going with Elsa. Besides, I want her to have the power to be able to like blast anyone who like tries to touch her wheelchair without consent. Isn't that like super rude? So I've named her Elsie because it follows the weird naming conventions of the Descendants franchise, where everyone's name is just like a weird clone name. Like, Elsa could never name her daughter Jennifer, not in this movie.
For a casual look, I went with a classic 2010s English teacher cardigan. It's giving very Tumblr, it's giving very just girly things, it's giving Dan and Phil. Elsie's blue is a stronger shade than her mother's iconic dress, but this like neon mint was like the colour circa 2014 to 16. I gave her a snowflake emblem, the classic Elsa hairdo, and Jeffrey Campbell Nita's, just to remind you what year it is. So I don't know much about like the practicality of fashion when it comes to a wheelchair, but I feel like for the visual we needed a leg slit and the off the shoulder. And I made the emblem now just into like a little dainty sulfur necklace. So it's still there, but it's not quite as in your face. And you may be looking at this third design and thinking, that's not an outfit. And that's intentional. What I've designed is a wheel cover for a wheelchair.
I think it's generally very cool when people accessorize their mobility. I know a woman who has stickers like all over her walking frame. There was this other woman that I used to work with who had like a couple of different canes that she would bust out for like different outfits. Diva. I kind of wanted to translate some of that energy into Elsie as well.
Also, I can't draw a wheelchair, so we'll have to just accept the wheel cover.
And that's it. Well, often when I say, and that's it, I mean, that's it for now, because I very much want you to ask me to do a part 2. I very much have other ideas that I'd love to execute. And here's the thing with me, if I'm interested enough in a topic, I'm going to do it even if no one asks. I don't mind if something flops. But for now, don't forget to be wicked. Bye, girlies.